alternative to be able to spend your money on immediately. So the way that it works is the contributors get a third of the share of the harvest of whatever each project's turning out. A second third of it goes into the communities for the old, the infirm. People using the food banks will be accessing organic food instead of freely accessible GMO that's going to kill you. And then the third goes back into shops, cafes and restaurants and businesses in the local area, so that we can bring the price of organic food down for everybody, so the people who are still within the structure and the corporate system have got an alternative to go and spend their money on. So it's removing their administration of our resources. And we can do that through a structure that we've created because of what's happened with the organic energy projects. We just kind of scaled it up, and it's attracted all of these different kinds of people. So people who used to work for governmental agencies, let's say, that woke up and kind of realised that we were supporting the terrorists instead of the people that we thought we were. We've all put our efforts and energies into creating something that's tangible and created in the frequency of 528 hertz. We've been talking a lot about money and obviously the fact that they're keeping people short from their benefits. The benefits that everybody's actually paid from is the birth certificate trust. And that birth certificate trust pays you a benefit because you are the beneficiary of that estate that's held in trust, currently administrated by Crown Corporation. So the way that we can remove the middleman on every level starts with removing your corporate council from deciding what your trust money is spent on in your local area. So if you want to have, let's say, an organic energy project in Leeds that's churning out free energy for the whole of Hunslet, let's say, then that's up to you as a community to decide to do that. So you take your resources, you will decide as a council of the people of the community, with a council SEL instead of IL, which obviously would have been where you would all counsel one another and decide yourselves amongst yourselves what was better for you and your demographic in your community. So you need to be able to access your resources. So everybody's jumping up and down and going, yeah, let's have a resource-based economy. But you haven't got any access to the resource, even though you are actually the source. And we kind of get mixed up with this. We go on about, needing our resources when actually we're the ones that create it. And we're already creating it in a vibrational frequency of fear and hate, unfortunately, and the fact that we are heart-centered beings created in love of a 528 hertz. I don't know if anybody knows about how it all works with the vibration and the frequency and how we create matter. And that's really getting down to the understanding that we're going to imply across the board with the community projects is education. So the children are obviously going to get an understanding of the fact that they are heart-centered beings created in love of a 528 degree, and that they are the creators and manifestors of their own reality. So instead of us creating unconsciously and competently in 741 frequency, which is what our music and everything is stacked up for us to be able to do, which actually causes cognitive dissonance, so we end up doing nothing. So it's connecting your heart back with your head, and when you actually do that, you move your brainwaves into gamma brainwave frequency, which is all going to be part of the education process that we want to be able to help, which we are doing already. This has been proven to work down in Dorset. We went and did like the free man movement and all that kind of stuff and used common law before we realised that common law is actually another form of slavery commonly used against people who have birth certificates, which John I think is going to talk to you about that in a moment. So we have to go right back to before we were invaded by the Romans, which is to the UK do no universal law and operate under natural law. So as long as you haven't hurt anybody or damaged anybody's property or goods or another living being, and you haven't committed fraud in the contract, then everybody can kind of generally just get on with whatever it is that you've come here to do. And so the free energy part of it for us isn't just can you heat your house for free, or can you access your resources for free, but are you free as an energetic being? Because when you look at it from another perspective, the battlefield that we think that obviously is taking place down here on planet Earth is a universal battle between negative and positive energy, and unfortunately our conditioning is we are conditioned to create more 741 frequency. The banking structure that we don't really like the word banking, but putting your energies into a pot, let's say, and all being priceless within that can then stop corruption, because you will never compromise yourself. You wouldn't compromise another person because you see them as a direct equal of universal source energy as you are. So when we understand that we're never going to lose anything because we never owned anything in the first place, you can lose the ownership, and if you'd never owned anything, then you can't lose it because it was never for yours to have in the first place. So it comes back down to stewardship and protector. So if we can get that kind of grounding across the board with these community projects, which is, we went on to a lovely piece of land on Magna Road, I don't know if you'll know this story, used Article 61, built some pallet house and housed some homeless people to demonstrate to the corrupt councils how easy it was to make a real difference. It took them about a month and a half to cook the books and expose themselves for fraud and corruption, which is across the board, and it raised the awareness that we needed. There's now 540 people involved in something called Dorset Organic Roots Community, and instead of it just being the free organic energy project, all growing food, we've now got about 8 to 10 different projects that were already growing food, but now they've kind of adopted the ethos of the share of the harvest. So it's just grown exponentially. And then these have all cropped up across the UK, Devon, Cornwall, Preston, Lancashire. We only need 13 people. It's usually about 5 core people in each area. In order for you to be able to set one of these up, we'll give you all of the structure for you to be able to do that. And what happens is it means that you access your resources immediately without having to go through the middleman. So at the moment, the corporations are accessing your birth certificate trusts. You're creating a liability. If you work it out as 1.7 billion share is held in trust for you and you and you and you and you of this planet's resources, because it's yours. And it was freely recreated for you to be able to come and have the experience of whatever it is that you've come here to do with. And in order for you to be able to do that, they decided that you're incapable and incapacitated, so they took the responsibility for that. And then they decide that you cost, or your liabilities in your area, 120 to 180,000 pounds a year. So that money comes out of your trust and it goes down to central government. Central government sends it to the council, and the council spend about 25%, if you're lucky, in that area on you and your public services. And then they've got the audacity to get you to top it up with your council tax, after they've taken the other 75% and paid themselves their pension pots and their scandal payouts and all the way back up to central government. So it's massive money laundering on a massive scale. So instead of them laundering the money and doing things in the negative with it, what we're talking about is accessing that resource. So instead of them administrating on your behalf, you turn around and you say, right, this is who I am, this is what I know, and I'm now taking back the responsibility of myself, and with that, all of my assets and resources. And if everybody in the community does that, then you can all come together and then decide what happens in your own community. You are self-governing, you are self-sustaining, and you're creating a permaculture reality in your own community based on 528 hertz, which is love, instead of 741, which is fear and hate. So there was a couple of points really with the things that a couple of people had said. Jason went, really, it's petrochemical corruption and monopoly of the whole system. So nature's obviously been synthesised and gets paid back, sold back to you. as a benefit, when actually it's a massive liability. And the teaching of it all, from seeing is believing. So you're told that that's what it is. So you believe it and then you see it. When in actual fact, you believe it and then you see it. Because if you didn't believe it enough, you would never see it, because it would just go floating on by. You would never ever actually pick it up. So to get to the bottom of it all is to realise that they've corrupted absolutely everything that's true, and you are source, and nobody and nothing should ever be able to diminish your divinity, which we do on a regular basis with ourselves and our thoughts. So what we're working on now is something called, obviously, the Land Council, and the Land Council will act on your behalf. So I know a lot of people are stopped from using accepted for value or rebutting penalty charge notices and things like that. So there's a structure now that you can go into. You will be protected inside a trust, and all of your assets and resources will be protected, and collectively as a community, and then collectively as a land council. So it's all, their system is on non-disclosure, because they didn't tell us any of these facts. So this structure has to be by consent, by full comprehension of what it is that you're doing, and also with full disclosure. And that full disclosure is protected in their structure with their non-disclosure, which means that you really don't exist within their system anymore. You become live within their system, because obviously as a dead entity, they can operate and administrate on your behalf, but once obviously you're a live sovereign, then you are the glitch in their system, if you like. So John's going to come and explain his side of it with the trust side of it and how it all works. But trust, obviously, it is fundamental if you've got to trust yourself to be able to do this in the first place. And unfortunately, a lot of us lack that. But we've found that obviously when we do, that great things can happen. So we do. Thanks. Thank you.